The alarms had faded, but Ethan knew the danger was far from over. The raiders' retreat was only temporary. Somewhere in the darkness of space, they were regrouping, preparing for another strike. Yet, for the first time since arriving at this remote colony, Ethan did not feel entirely alone. The alien woman beside him had become more than a mystery. She was a partner in every sense that mattered. She rose gracefully from his chest, her movement fluid and deliberate, and gestured toward the communications console. Ethan realized she wanted him to contact the colony command center. As he approached the controls, she hovered nearby, watching, analyzing. Every now and then, her fingers brushed against the holographic interface and the system responded instantly. It was as if she could understand human technology instinctively, a bridge between her knowledge and his own. "Can you understand this?" Ethan asked, trying to make conversation. Though he knew her form of intelligence might not match his language, her eyes met his, glowing faintly in acknowledgement. Then, with a slight tilt of her head, she began manipulating the controls. Symbols rearranged themselves into coherent commands. Within moments, the colony's communication grid was online, sending encrypted messages to neighboring outposts, alerting them of the raiders' approach. Ethan blinked. That's incredible. He had worked years to optimize this system, yet she did it in seconds without hesitation. There was no arrogance in her manner, only precision, understanding, and focus. "Thank you," he said softly, unsure if she would understand the words. She responded with a faint nod, as if acknowledging his gratitude. With the immediate threat partially managed, Ethan guided her to a safe observation platform overlooking the colony's main energy core. "We need to make sure the raiders don't try to sabotage the core," he said. She crouched beside him, her gaze sweeping the area with unnatural precision. Ethan could almost see her calculating every potential threat simultaneously, her alien senses allowing her to perceive details he could only imagine. Minutes passed in tense silence. Then, without warning, the first of the raider drones appeared in the distance. Small, fast-moving ships, armed with energy disruptors capable of crippling the colony's defenses. Ethan instinctively ducked behind the railing. The alien woman, however, remained standing, her eyes glowing as she seemed to measure their trajectory. She raised a hand, and to Ethan's shock, the drones altered course. A pulse of energy, subtle, invisible, and yet undeniably effective, disrupted their guidance systems. Ethan stared. He had no idea how she did it, but it worked. The drones faltered, spun out of control, and crashed into the rocky terrain beyond the colony's perimeter. Ethan's heart raced. "How?" he began, but she merely tilted her head, her expression calm and almost playful. It was as though she had expected him to be impressed but not surprised. As the remaining raiders adjusted, Ethan realized that relying solely on technology wasn't enough. He needed her. Together they formed a plan. She would use her abilities to interfere with the raiders' navigation and targeting systems, while he manipulated the colony's defense grid to maximize their efficiency. They worked in perfect sync, the tension of the moment creating an unspoken bond. Ethan felt a strange exhilaration. It was unlike anything he had experienced before. Fear mixed with trust, uncertainty mixed with confidence, chaos balanced by precision. And all around them, the colony seemed to respond, as if acknowledging the unusual alliance between human and alien. Hours passed, though time felt suspended. Every maneuver, every adjustment required absolute focus. Ethan marveled at her adaptability. She learned quickly, anticipating his thoughts almost before he voiced them. When he explained the function of a security drone, she seemed to intuit its capabilities immediately. When he calculated the energy pulse needed to disrupt the raiders' ships, she enhanced it without instruction. By dawn, the threat had subsided. The raiders were in full retreat and the colony remained intact. Ethan leaned back against the observation platform, exhausted yet exhilarated. She crouched beside him, her presence calm and grounding, her eyes reflecting both relief and curiosity. "You saved the colony," Ethan said quietly. She looked at him, and he could feel a subtle shift in the air, a silent acknowledgement that they had done it together. She moved closer, resting lightly against him. This gesture, familiar from their first encounter, now carried a new weight. It was no longer a test or a request. It was a celebration of survival, a recognition of shared courage, and a quiet affirmation of trust. Ethan placed a hand gently on her shoulder, feeling the strange warmth of her skin. For a long moment they simply stayed there, watching the rising twin suns cast golden light over the alien landscape. The colony hummed quietly, a living reminder of what they had protected. Ethan realized that the universe, vast and indifferent, held moments of connection that transcended species, language, and understanding. "What's your name?" he asked softly, almost afraid of the answer. She did not respond verbally, but her eyes flickered and a soft musical vibration emitted from her throat. A sound that, in some inexplicable way, felt like communication. Ethan smiled, understanding that names might not carry the same importance for her as they did for him. What mattered was presence, action, and shared understanding. He began to explain his own life, his work, his hopes, the dreams he had harbored since childhood. She listened, silent yet attentive, occasionally tilting her head or making a soft sound that encouraged him to continue. For the first time, Ethan felt that his words mattered, not just to another human, but to a being from another world. As they spoke, he noticed subtle changes in her posture and expression. The faint luminescence of her skin seemed to pulse in rhythm with her breathing, a silent language of emotion and thought. He realized that this was more than mere companionship. It was a bridge between species, a connection formed not from words alone but from shared experience, courage, and trust. Hours passed, though they felt like minutes. Ethan and the alien woman explored the colony together, inspecting the systems, ensuring that nothing was damaged beyond repair. She demonstrated an almost intuitive understanding of human engineering, offering subtle adjustments and improvements. Ethan marveled at her ingenuity, realizing that humanity's survival might not just depend on its own strengths, but on alliances formed with beings unlike themselves. When they returned to his quarters, Ethan felt a rare sense of comfort. The alien woman settled again, this time lying beside him, not on him. It was a gesture of companionship rather than dependence. He felt her pulse against the mattress, steady and calm, and he allowed himself to relax fully for the first time in days. The colony outside continued its quiet hum, a testament to resilience and ingenuity. Ethan reflected on the events of the night, the sudden intrusion, the unexpected alliance, the shared danger, and the triumph over seemingly insurmountable odds. He realized that in the vast expanse of space, survival was not just about strength or technology. It was about connection, trust, and the willingness to act together, across boundaries both physical and cultural. As night fell again over the alien world, Ethan felt a deep sense of peace. The raiders were gone, the colony was safe, and he was not alone. The alien woman stirred beside him, shifting slightly, her eyes meeting his with quiet acknowledgement. There was no need for words. The bond they had formed was clear, unspoken, and powerful. In the coming days, Ethan knew challenges would arise. Other threats might appear, and the mysteries of her species would continue to puzzle him. Yet he also knew that whatever the universe presented, he and the alien woman had forged a connection strong enough to face it together. He reached out, gently touching her arm. She responded with a faint pulse of light from her skin, a gesture of recognition, understanding, and mutual respect. Ethan smiled. He realized that this was what humanity had always needed. Not dominance, not fear, not mere survival, but the courage to connect with others, to trust, and to act with integrity in the face of the unknown. The twin moons shone overhead, casting a serene glow over the colony. Ethan and the alien woman rested together, silently watching the stars. In that moment, the universe felt less vast and more welcoming, less indifferent and more alive. They had faced danger, navigated uncertainty, and emerged stronger, not as human and alien, but as partners, allies, and friends. The night was still, quiet, and full of potential. Ethan knew that whatever adventures lay ahead, they would meet them together. The alien woman stirred once more, resting her head lightly on his shoulder. It was a gesture of trust, of companionship, and of understanding that transcended words. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment, breathing deeply. For the first time, he felt a profound certainty. In a universe filled with unknowns, the truest strength came from connection, courage, and the willingness to face the impossible together. And somewhere deep within him, he felt hope, the kind of hope that lit the darkest corners of space. that bridged species and worlds and that made survival not just possible, but meaningful. The colony slept peacefully under the watch of the twin moons. Outside, stars sparkled endlessly, reminding Ethan that the universe was vast, mysterious, and full of possibility. Inside, two beings, human and alien, rested side by side, bound by trust, courage, and an unspoken promise of. Alex Harper had been on countless missions before, exploring worlds no human had ever stepped foot on. But nothing had prepared him for Lyra 9. The moment the shuttle broke through the planet's upper atmosphere, a landscape unlike anything he had ever seen stretched before him. Towering trees with translucent leaves glowed faintly in shades of violet and blue, and enormous crystals floated lazily above the ground, suspended by some natural force that defied explanation. The air was thick with the scent of something sweet and earthy, and every sound seemed to hum with life. His team had landed near a valley, chosen because it was marked as uncharted on all surveys. Alex stepped off the shuttle first, his boots crunching on a strange, semi-transparent moss. The surface seemed to pulse gently under his weight, and he wondered if it was alive. The crew followed cautiously, weapons ready but lowered, sensing that this world, though beautiful, was not inherently hostile. "Commander, sensors are picking up unusual energy signatures," Lieutenant Marcus said, his voice tight. He was younger than Alex and often reacted with tension to the unknown. "Unusual how?" Alex asked, his gaze sweeping the valley. "Some sort of bioelectric field. It's strong and it seems intelligent." Alex frowned. "Intelligent? You mean like life forms?" "Yes, sir. But nothing we've ever seen before." They moved further into the valley, following the energy readings. The moss underfoot shimmered as if reacting to their presence. Every so often, the floating crystals shifted slightly, changing their orientation, reflecting the sunlight in patterns that almost looked like symbols. The atmosphere felt thick with something intangible, something that made Alex's head buzz with anticipation. Then he saw her. At first, it was only a blur, a flicker between the trees. Then she stepped forward. A young alien female, her skin pale with a soft iridescent sheen and eyes the color of molten gold. Her hair floated slightly as if caught in a breeze that didn't exist. She was beautiful, but it was more than her appearance that caught Alex off guard. There was a presence about her, a mental weight that pressed gently on his mind as though she could sense him before he sensed her. Alex froze. The crew stopped behind him, unsure of what to do. The alien didn't move aggressively. Instead, she simply stared, and Alex felt a shock run through him. A whisper in his thoughts, faint and fleeting but undeniably there. You can hear me?" The voice wasn't audible, yet the words were unmistakable in his mind. Alex's eyes widened. I think I can hear you." He tried to keep calm, though his heart raced. He had encountered alien species before, but never anything like this. The alien gasped softly, her hand flying to her chest. Alex felt the same shock ripple through him again. It was as if she had reacted to a thought he hadn't even realized he was having. He looked at her puzzled and realized something extraordinary. This wasn't just telepathy. She was responding to his thoughts themselves. He focused on calm, neutral thoughts, picturing his home station and his crew. She relaxed slightly. Then instinctively he imagined danger, an alert for a predator or a misstep in the forest. And she flinched visibly, eyes darting to every shadow and flicker of light. Alex realized the implications immediately. She could read him, not just hear him. His thoughts, his intentions, his fears, everything he didn't speak aloud reached her in an instant. "Stay calm," he thought. "I mean no harm." Her shoulders eased and she tilted her head slightly as though studying him. Her voice, or rather the sound in his mind, was filled with both curiosity and caution. You think of me?" Alex blinked. He had no idea how she could know. Then he realized. Every time his mind wandered toward her, imagining what she was like, wondering who she was, she reacted. His awareness of her presence alone triggered her responses. Before he could react further, Lieutenant Marcus spoke, breaking the spell. "Sir, we should—" Alex raised a hand. "No, don't move." He felt protective of this alien being. She wasn't a threat, yet something about her presence made the air feel electric. He could almost hear the unspoken questions in her mind. Kayla, as he later learned she was called, took cautious steps forward. Her movements were graceful, deliberate, and Alex could feel the weight of her thoughts pressing against his own. He sensed fear, yes, but also curiosity, and something else he couldn't name yet. He spoke aloud carefully, though it seemed unnecessary. "I'm Alex, I'm not here to hurt you." Her lips didn't move, but in his mind he heard the faint echo of her reply. You are thinking of me." "Always thinking. Why?" Alex swallowed. The truth was he was thinking of her. Every possible thought he had, wondering how she lived, what her world looked like, what it meant that she could hear him, was focused on her. But admitting that mentally felt almost like giving her too much power. He chose words carefully. I don't know, he admitted, focusing on calm, neutral thoughts. "You are unusual. I want to understand, not harm." Kyla's eyes widened and she gasped again. Alex felt the rush of her emotion like a wave crashing in his mind, startling yet not dangerous. It was as though his honest thoughts had a tangible effect on her state. She stepped closer, but cautiously, as if testing the invisible boundary between them. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the ground. Alex looked up to see a shadow moving in the forest, a predator native to Lyra 9. Its long, serpentine body glimmered with the same crystalline colors as the floating formations above. It moved with intelligence, circling, watching. Kayla stiffened immediately, her gaze locking onto the predator. Alex felt a surge of her fear, raw and unfiltered. He focused, imagining a calm, protective presence. "It won't hurt you," he thought. "I'll keep it away." Her gasps slowed as she mirrored his thoughts. He realized the connection could be powerful. If he stayed calm, she stayed calm. They could communicate without words, a true meeting of minds across species. The predator slithered closer, sensing the pair. Alex raised his weapon, but Kyla's sudden movement stopped him. She raised a hand, not to strike, but as a warning. He felt her thought, "Wait, not with violence. Use the mind." Alex hesitated, then concentrated. He imagined the predator turning away, picturing it moving into the distance away from them. It was instinctive, a mental nudge rather than direct control. The predator paused, seemed confused, then slowly slithered away into the shadows. Kayla gasped, relief flooding his mind. She stepped closer, studying him with eyes full of curiosity and admiration. "You think differently from others," she said. Alex smiled, the tension fading slightly. "We're not all the same," he replied aloud. Then came the unexpected. Kayla's expression changed. Her eyes widened and she gasped sharply, clutching her chest. Alex felt her thought pierce his mind like lightning. You keep thinking of me." Alex froze. He hadn't realized how much of his mind was focused on her. Every reaction, every thought about understanding her, every emotion he felt toward her, she felt it too. It was intense, overwhelming, yet strangely comforting. He took a step closer, careful not to frighten her further. I can't stop," he admitted honestly. "I don't want to." Her gasp softened and a hint of a smile appeared. Alex realized that this alien, unlike any being he had ever encountered, had opened a window into something deeper. Their minds were connected, but not in a way that controlled or manipulated. It was a mirror, a reflection of thoughts and intentions. The crew, watching silently, seemed unsure what to do. Marcus whispered, "Commander, maybe we should leave." Alex shook his head. "No, we need to understand her, not capture her. She's not a weapon." Kayla studied him, and Alex could feel her curiosity, her wonder, her hesitation, all mingling with the faint thrill of connection. He knew this was the beginning of something extraordinary. A meeting of minds, a bond that crossed species, a story that could change the way humans understood the universe. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the glowing valley, Alex and Kayla stood facing each other. He could feel her heartbeat through their connection, and she could sense his. It was as if the world around them, the floating crystals, the glowing trees, the pulsing moss, was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Alex knew one thing clearly. He couldn't leave Lyra 9 without understanding Kayla, without exploring this connection that felt more real than anything else in his life. And Kayla, for the first time, didn't feel alone. Even though humans were strange, unpredictable, and new, this one human's thoughts had reached her in a way no one else's ever had. When the stars began to appear in the violet sky, Alex felt a quiet determination settle over him. He would protect this alien, learn from her, and explore the limits of their connection. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever dangers the universe held, he knew that humanity's curiosity, Courage and empathy had led him here to this moment, to this remarkable being who gasped when he thought of her, and who had already claimed a permanent place in his mind. And as Kayla looked at him, their minds intertwined even faintly, Alex realized that nothing would ever be the same again.